Hey everybody, it's Yasmin here with Jonty actually. I think I'm going to have to put him down because I've got to pick stuff up. I'm here to do a full moon ceremony. I'm in a slightly different place than usual because it's so cold outside. It's about, I think, 7 or 8 degrees. So I just thought, you know what? I have this lovely altar in my house that I made with the lovely Michael and Robin Mastro of vastucreations.com. We did it together, and I think I might have done a little video about it at some point. But anyway, so I thought, you know what? I have this beautiful altar, and let's do our full moon ceremony here inside today. Now, Jonty, I'm going to have to put you down. Not put you down. I'm just going to put you down on the floor because I need to have both hands, okay? So you can go on the sofa or something. All right, little one. Okay, so he's down there. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Yasmin Boland. I'm the author of Moonology. This is the Moonology diary, which we're actually going to be delving into today. This is actually the Moonology book where it all started. For those of you who just think it's all about the diary, there actually was initially a book called Moonology long before the diary was around. Actually, the diary came around because someone read the book and said, so good, can we get a workbook? And I'm like, oh, okay. So the diaries are kind of workbooks, and that's the diary for next year. And I think we've got a link, actually, if you go to moonmessages.com/my diary, moonmessages.com/my diary, you can actually buy the diary, register it, and get a whole stack of bonuses. So there we go. Thank you, Tom, who's just put that up. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the full moon and what it means, like the full moon in general, today's full moon in particular, and we're going to do some chanting. And then I actually have a little bowl here, and I'm planning to do a little bit of burning. I haven't done burning inside. I don't seem to have a fire alarm in the living room, which is where I am right now. So hopefully I won't be setting any fire alarms off. But before I do that, let me just talk you through this altar a bit, because I know some of you are amazing at altars and have altars that are like 20,000 times more, ornate and brilliant than this one. Not that it's a competition. But some of you might be new to altars. So, you can put an altar anywhere in your house. And one thing that I did with the Mastros was to make sure I had all the elements. So here, for example, is just some water. It happens to be filtered water. I've got a couple of crystals so water is the element of water. Crystals are the element of earth. Okay, so we have all the elements on there. I'm sure you can guess which element this is. That's a candle, so that's fire. And air. So air you can represent with multiple things. You can use a feather, for example. You can use a pen because it's air is the sign of intellect. I actually chose to use a bell. Let me just put it there. So I'm going to, I was reading the other day about how a really good bell, and this is a beautiful bell which I bought at the Sri Narayani Peedam ashram in India, where I've been going on and off for about nearly 20 years now. They sell a few things like this. I actually think I got that in the local supermarket in India. Would you believe they sell things like that at the supermarket? India. So anyway, the bell. So what I read the other day is that a bell will really sort of purify the air, as you kind of imagine, because obviously, let me just see if I can just put this up a bit. Here we go. Yeah, it purifies the air. So let's start our ceremony today by ringing the bell. And I'm observing what they teach you at the ashram in India, which is for things like this, you always use your right hand. You just do. So even though it's a bit awkward, I'm going to use my right hand just out of deference to my teacher there, Sri Shakti Narayani Amma. Here we go. So we'll just start with a little chant to the goddess Narayani, who is actually the goddess at the temple at the ashram where I go. And it's a very simple one. Om Namo Narayani, which basically means I bow down to the divine, or I bow down to the divine mother. So I'm going to chant it 3 times just to kind of call in the divine. Here we go. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. All right, now I'll tell you something I always think of telling you, and I never say it because I don't know what. But when I chant like that, I count on my fingers. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I do 1, 2, 3. But what always amazes me is that when I chant like that, it's like I fall into some timeless abyss. And I genuinely would have no idea how many times I've chanted had I not counted them on my fingers. So it's quite strange. All right, so let's start by having a look at the good old Moonology Diary 2024, which has served me very well this year. And we're going to have a look at the full moon in Taurus. Okay, so it's a pretty exciting full moon. Let me tell you more. All right. Okie dokie. So keywords and ideas for this lunation: electric, change making, breaking with the past, and radical. Now I'll tell you why. I mean, if you're an astrologer, you will instantly know why I've used all those words. I'll tell you in a minute. So date and time of this full moon. It's actually taking place tonight. Just 1 second. One second. Yes, it is tonight. I don't even know what date it is these days, but yes, it is tonight. I was thinking it wasn't last night, was it? No, it's tonight, which is why I'm doing this now, in fact. So in LA, November 15 that's today, at 1:28 p.m. In New York, November 15 at 4:28 p.m. London, November 15, 9:28 p.m. I'm in London. I'll be out for dinner with a lovely friend tonight, so we can maybe have a little new moon celebration, Nicola. And Sydney, November 16 at 8:28 a.m. So that's tomorrow, or when the Australians wake up. Now you might go, well, hang on a minute. How does she not know when the full moon is? So let me just explain to you. If you're new to moonology being working with the magic of the lunar cycle, especially for manifesting, you want to do your new moon wishes right after the new moon, okay? That's pretty much non-negotiable. When it comes to the full moon, the jury is out. You know, you can either do your full moon work in inverted commas, which is what we're doing today. For example, we're going to do some release work together. You can do it just before, you can do it at the moment of, or you can do it just after the full moon. It's really hard to explain why that is. But it's to do with the fact that the lead up to the full moon is really powerful. So I tend to do things right before the full moon, if I'm doing full moon ceremonies or whatever like this, for example. Or I do them right bang on. Like tonight, I could have done them at 9:28 p.m. But, you know, Hay House wouldn't be at work in London. So amongst other things, amongst the fact I'm also going out for dinner. And also you can do it just after. And that's actually fine too. I think one of the things with the full moon is that as the full moon builds, it gets pretty intense. So sometimes you might just prefer to do your full moon things straight after the full moon, because then it's like things have peaked a bit and everyone can sort of calm down a little. So it's really, for me, it's really optional. All right, so let me just read you a bit from the diary. So maybe it's my imagination, but I feel that as I've been writing these diaries since 2019, which is now 5 years ago, incredibly, Uranus, the planet of electricity and electrocution, of change and radical turnarounds, has become more and more triggered. I think it's probably my imagination. Maybe it's just the times we're living in, because they have been quite crazy, haven't they? When the planet Uranus is triggered, life tends to go a bit off the rails. It's little wonder, since Uranus is the planet of madness. Okay, so at the time of this lunation, Uranus is being truly triggered by the full moon. In fact, at the time of the full moon, tonight, UK time, tomorrow morning, Australian time, the moon and Uranus are only 1 degree apart. Now, there are 360 degrees in the zodiac. It's a circle. So 1 degree is pretty darn close. In other words, now is a time for a radical break with the past. And Alicia says, when I read this the other day, I was blown away how accurate this passage describes what's going on. Yes, well, it is a pretty intense time. It's a pretty intense full moon. So how so? Remember that full moons are always about releasing and letting go. That is exactly why they're so powerful. And what we do in moonology is we set our intentions at the new moon and we let everything go to the divine at the full moon, okay, which is what we're going to do today. We humans tend to get far too attached to what's happened in the past. We don't forgive, so we continue to harbor feelings of resentment, jealousy, spitefulness, or even bitterness. It sounds awful. I agree with myself there, but it's the way it is. If we don't release these feelings, they stay with us, swirling around our body and making us mentally and physically uncomfortable or even unwell. And, you know, like I was just in the States last week, which was amazing. I went to Washington, D.C. with my son, Louis, and we were there for the election, which was incredible. And, you know, I know there's a lot of division in the States at the moment over the results of the election. So, you know, hopefully this full moon is going to help people to release and let go. And especially for any people who voted for Kamala, because as you'll hear in a minute, there's a lot of feminine energy around this full moon and it's letting go time. So it can be time to sort of let go of any, you know, rancor that you feel as a result of the election. We're in DC on the night we went to Kamala Harris's old alma mater, Howard University. So you can imagine that was a pretty intense experience. So every now and then we get a lunation, which is like a new moon or a full moon like this one, which reminds us that we can move on from the past in an instant. We just have to remember that the past is another country. They do things differently there, as the famous saying goes. You're not the same person who experienced whatever traumas you've had in your life. You know, your body renews itself every 7 years. If it's been 7 years, oh, well, I said that. If it's been 7 years, you literally are not the same person because every single part of your body has regenerated. So don't bring those feelings with you. So in the diary, we always have questions to ask yourself at the full moon, and I'll give you just one of them. I'm going to give you the third question. Put it in the comments if you dare. How would my life be different if I released the past? How would my life be different if I released the past? So ask yourself that. I'm just going to see if I can slightly adjust my seating position without completely disappearing off this camera. There we go. So how would your life be different if you released the past? Would it be better? Would it be harder? Would it be easier to manage? How would it be? I mean, I think basically what we need to think about with the past is that the past is like something we drag around with us, you know, until we let it go. So if you need to release the past, this is a full moon where you can release everything in an instant. Now, as I said, keep going. There we go. As I said, I wanted to talk about the full moon in general and this full moon in particular. And now I just want to drill down a little bit more before we do our release work. So this full moon is triggering a very important fixed star called Algol. People are putting in how their life would be. Anna, my childhood trauma would disappear. I mean, it's time to try and just try to let it go today. We're going to write it down. We're going to burn it. My life would be less guarded. Sylvia, more authentic. Brilliant. Yeah, okay. So you've got ideas. Kathy Tunney. Hi, in Tassie. I'm coming to Tasmania, Kathy Tunney. I'll be doing a workshop in Hobart on the 14th. So get on my newsletter if you want to get told about it. Okay, so this full moon is triggering the fixed star Algol, which is probably one of the most controversial stars. It's been very much demonized by the patriarchy. Sorry to all the men out there. But it actually represents divine feminine wisdom and sovereignty. And so I think, for one thing, it's really good to know that the divine feminine is being triggered right now as we move back into the move back into a time of the re-emergence of the divine feminine. But also it's quite interesting that with the Kamala Harris defeat, being a woman, people who looked at this full moon and saw, well, it's in Taurus, it's on Algol, which is all about the divine feminine and associated with the star Saraswati and also with Medar and Medusa. Maybe people would have, figured that out and made different predictions. It was a shock. I'm not sure, was it a shock win for Trump or a shock loss for Kamala? But there's definitely a shock thing in this full moon. And the thing is with Algol, it's very much about losing your head. And I was reading some astrology about this today, and they were saying it was about losing your head with worry. So if you have been fretting like a crazy person in the past couple of days, or you find yourself doing that today or in the next couple of days to come, you are tuning in to the triggering of the fixed star Algol, which is losing your head with worry, because I suppose as well, because we've got the full moon on there. So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to do just a very simple little burning ceremony so we can release whatever we need to let go. Now, I'm actually going to write this down and I'm going to burn it. I'm going to rip a bit out of my diary, which I don't always do, but I'm going to rip out that, how would my life look different if I released the past? I'm going to do that. And I'm going to suggest to you, if you haven't already done it, put in the comments what you want to release and how would your life look different if you released it. Okay. I don't have any music handy, I'm sorry, but let's just take a little moment in silence to just think about what do I need to release and how would my life look different if I released it? And then if you put it in the comments and then when I burn it here, I'll be burning it for everyone. Okay, so I am releasing, and you can write whatever you're releasing. How will my life look different when I release it? Sharon, anger and fear. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. Right. Betty, Liz, one, traumatic events. Yeah, good. Just choose to let it go. It's not as simple as, you snap your fingers and it's gone. But there is a strong sense that just even setting the intention to let these things go, and then if you go back into them, then you're kind of aware of it. You're like, oh God, I know I have the intention to release that. Susie Millington, control. Michelle, resentment. Scarcity mindset and fear. Lorraine, childhood trauma, money worries. Okay. Carol, I need to drink for stress. Yep. Tiffany, past trauma. Okay, so I'm releasing what I'm releasing. How will my life look different? How will your life look different when you do that? I feel like what someone said earlier, my life will feel lighter. I feel like it's that, but I think it's as well, it will be like, blocks get removed when we release the past, don't they? So I'm going to say a clear way forward. How about that? Because the blocks get released. Now, that reminds me, we actually have Ganesha here. And I did say to Tom at Hay House, who's on the other side of this broadcast, that I felt a bit bad that I didn't have, I'm just going to maybe close that light for a moment. Hang on. I said that I felt a bit bad about not showing Ganesha's head, but we decided it was just impossible to get the altar and Ganesha in. So I hope Ganesha's okay with it. But because I've just mentioned clearing blocks, and because the full moon helps us to release blocks, and because Ganesha's right there, let us chant to Ganesha. I'll just hold that for Ganesha just while we do that. We'll just chant 3 times. I'll do my timing on my other hand. Here we go. So we're going to chant 3 times to Ganesha to help us to release whatever blocks are blocking us from releasing whatever it is we want to release. And we'll do a card in a minute, okay? So here we go. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And that is a really simple little Ganesha chant, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. You can look it up on online. And Ganesha is the Hindu elephant god, again, I learned about at the ashram in India all those years ago, who helps us to clear obstacles out of the way. So whatever it is that may be in your way of releasing, you know, anger, fear, resentment, trauma, all the things you guys have mentioned, that is actually, Ganesha will help you to release the blocks that are standing between you and whatever it is you want to release. I'm just feeling the urge right now for anyone who's watching in Australia. If you're in my Mainly Moonology membership, you will get the notification first, but anyone else on my newsletter will also get that, and you can sign up for my newsletter on my website or go to yasminboland.com/newsletter, I think. I'm going to be doing 2 workshops in Tasmania next month, which I'll just tell you about. I'd love to see you there. They're both tiny. They're both for about 20-25 people. The first is in Hobart on December the 14th, down at the Holistic Centre at Long Beach in Sandy Bay, which is near where I grew up. And then I'm randomly going up to Ulverston, and we'll be doing a full moon gong bath with a practitioner there who works with, she has a company called The Quiet Cone. Her name's Megan. So yeah, if you want to find out about those, just go to my website, get on my mailing list, and members will be told first. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to burn this, okay? We're going to burn it, and I'm burning it for me, but I'm also burning it for you, okay? This is like a sort of a proxy burn for everybody who has said what they're releasing. And what we're doing is we're effectively transmuting it into the ethers by setting it on fire. Hopefully I'm not going to burn my house down. There we go. By setting it on fire, we effectively transmute it. So you can see it's burning. Hang on, keep burning, please. Yep, there we go. All burning away. So yeah, Om Namo Narayani, Om Namo Narayani, Om Namo Narayani. There's a tiny little bit left at the corner, but that's fine. I can burn that a bit more after we finish. So it's very much a time to just offer it all up to the divine. You know, release worry if you have been losing your head with worry, and understand that right now is very much a time of turning the corner. We do actually have, so today is the 15th, on the 19th, so it's like 4 days from now, we have the planet Pluto changing signs and moving into the sign of Aquarius. Now, you may go, well, hang on a minute, didn't that happen earlier? But actually what's happened is that as chance would have it, Pluto has been flip-flopping backwards and forwards between Capricorn and Aquarius for about, I can't remember now if it's a year or 2, it's been a while. And but finally on the 19th, this happens finally. last time until about 250 years from now that Pluto will move into Aquarius and move through Aquarius. Now, if you happen to be Aquarian or have a lot of planets in Aquarius, it's going to be a very, very powerful time for you. If you happen to be Capricorn or have a lot of planets in Capricorn or in Cancer or Leo for that matter, Aquarius, Leo, Cancer, Capricorn, it's the end of what's been probably a rather intense decade or two. It's nothing to worry about if you're Aquarius, but it is a time to really think, how do I need to detox my life? How do I need to detox my life? So what I want to do now is I want to end by drawing a card, okay? I'm going to end by drawing a card, and I'm going to take this one here. These are my beautiful Moonology messages cards, which are illustrated by the beautiful Ali Vermilio. And they are a bit different to my other cards, which are more astrological. If this card is for you, put it in the comments. This card is for me. They're more symbols, and they're very much about getting you to use your intuition. All right. So is this card for you? Okay. Andrea A. James says yes. Alicia says yes. Anyone else saying yes? I say yes. All right. Erin Fitterer, this is for you. Okay, we've got 3 people. That'll be enough to get on with. Charlotte's for you. Ooh, okay. Are you ready? Now, I'm just going to say one more thing really quickly. We will finish within the half hour, but I went to Anita Morjani's talk about the afterlife, I think it was last weekend. It was actually the day after I got back from the States, so I was very happy to have something to go to and keep me awake all day because I was a bit jet lagged. And so one thing she said in her talk was that if you get a message from the divine, that you must take it seriously. And I'm just going to show you. We actually, this is the little book I wrote it all down in. We actually did a meditation which lasted for nearly an hour, but it was so powerful. I didn't even notice the time, but she told us in advance it was going to take an hour, nearly an hour. And we got messages from our higher self, which was incredible. And I wrote them all down in this book. And I've literally, the reason why I have this book here with me is because I've literally been carrying it around the house with me ever since, trying to find the time, which I actually haven't yet, but I will. Maybe I'll do it right after this, to read it again, because I know I got some amazing messages, and I can only think of, I can't even think of any of them right now. So my point is, so she said at the very end of her workshop, take the messages you got seriously. And so that was on the Saturday or the Sunday, I can't remember now. And then on the Monday, I actually went out for dinner with Anita. And if I could just name drop a few Hay House luminaries, also with, for example, I won't name drop too many names, but Robert Holden, for example, was there, which was pretty amazing. And yeah, that was a really wonderful dinner. And I sat next to Anita. And I said to her, you know what one of my favorite things in your whole workshop was? She said, what? I said, when you told everyone, if you got a message from the divine, take it seriously. And she said, oh, okay. And I said, because the thing is, that's how I feel about oracle cards. I feel if you are going to get a message, you need to take it seriously. Okay. So you said this message, this card is for you. If you've said it, it is the communicate card. Communicate. All right, so let us have a quick look in the book. Got about a couple of minutes left. Talk to the moon and communicate. Let's have a go. All right, talk to the moon. Page 114. 114. Here we go. Are you ready? This is what the card says. Take it seriously. Your outlook is positive, but you need to communicate with your higher self. Well, I did that with Anita, with the moon, or with someone. Start with the idea of communicating with your higher self. Funnily enough, actually, my question, I know I did get something about that in that meditation, so I better go and read that. This is your higher self is the part of you that's connected to all life everywhere. Learning to connect with this part of you is easy to do. Simply sit quietly and ask your higher self, what you need to know about your situation. Okay, so if you're thinking, oh, I'd like to do that, sit quietly, ask yourself, what do I need to know about my situation? This again is the Moonology Messages Oracle deck. Okay, request answers. Close your eyes, breathe gently, and see what messages come to you, which is effectively what we did with Anita. Have a piece of paper and a pen handy so you can make notes and then return to your breathing. You can also do this exercise under the moon, or you could do it tonight, especially if you're in the UK, because it will be at 9:30 p.m. approximately. Go out into the night and sit quietly under the full moon, maybe, asking for answers about your situation. That's the esoteric part of this card. However, it can also suggest that as well as divining answers in this magical way, you may also need to talk to someone in real life, okay? Either to the person involved in your situation or to someone else who can help you. Additional meanings for this card: keep the channels of communication open, be open to new ideas, meditate more, work on your intuition, and pay attention to the signs you're getting. All right, so can't say fairer than that. You need to communicate. I think I'm going to take that as a sign to communicate with my higher self, because I already did that with Anita. So maybe you feel you need to talk, and I need to see what my higher self told me to do about the situation I'm inquiring about. And if you would like to do that, but you haven't, just do what I just said. Close your eyes, ask for answers, breathe. So on that note, I'm going to do the Om Namo Nirani chant 3 more times, and we'll say fare thee well for another full moon. So here we go. And just whatever you're giving up, give it up to the divine now under this chant. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. All right, well, I wish you a very good full moon. Remember, it is a kind of electric charged one, so go easy, take it easy. It's in Taurus, which is grounding and steadying, but it's triggering Uranus and Algol, which is, you know, really powerful. All right, lots of love, guys.